as the issuer, yun yung uunahin namin. So i-aari, kaya tinatawag siya na array of bids. Ina-arrange namin sila from the lowest rate up to the highest rate until makuha namin yung volume na kailangan namin. So as you can see dito, 1.6 billion pa lang covered na siya ng non-competitive bids. So out of the 4 billion, nakakuha na kami ng 1.6 billion. So yung natitira na lang is 2.4 billion. So para makuha yung 2.4 billion, we go to the next. So yun na yung 4.45%. So dun sa 4.45% na yan, makakuha pa kami ng additional na 2 billion. And then we still have a balance of 400 million. So we move to the next higher rate, which is 4.47. So at 4.47 cutoff rate or stop out rate, we have fully covered the award, which is 4 billion pesos. So upon settlement date, what would happen is yung securities ay ma-award. And since this is an English auction, kasi treasury bill siya, it will be awarded at the rate na binid nyo. So a question that one might have is, what if at 4.47% ang total bids ay 1 billion instead of 400 million? May ano pa, may sobra pa. So kukunin lang namin dun sa 1 billion na yun ay 400 million, pero i-award siya at a prorated basis. Kumbaga naka-average, depende sa bid nyo, i-average namin yung kinuha namin na 400 million dun sa lahat ng nag-bid na out of the 1 billion based sa size ng bid nila. So for this one naman, this is for bond auctions or for a treasury bond auction that's being reissued din. So English auction din siya. So ganong process din siya. So for this one, may mga bids kami na ina-arrange namin from least to the highest, tapos kinukuha namin until ma-fill up namin yung remaining na rate, yung remaining na volume na kailangan namin. So i-cut namin sila at 5.7%. So a question that you might have is, do we always do this? Do we always get yung 10 billion in this case? It really depends on the behavior of the bids. That's why mahalaga yung secondary market, yung trading activity ng mga bonds natin. Because for us here at the Treasury, we don't want na nag-i-incur kami ng debt at significantly high rates. So there are times where you will hear in the news that we fully rejected all the auctions. So kumbaga, wala kaming tinanggap out of all the bids kasi masyadong matataas yung rates or hindi naging healthy yung auction kasi very defensive yung market right now, given, let's say, inflation is high, oil is rising, and it has been seen in the past auctions nung March. And at the same time, hindi naman kami all or nothing. Kasi inside here at the Treasury, we have our own models na nag-a-identify kami kung ano yung ideal levels for borrowing. So for those, may mga times din, like yesterday, out of the 35 billion na in-announce namin, we only got mga 25 billion, I think. Kasi we believe na hanggang dun lang naman yung tolerance namin on rates. Kasi there are times kapag yung market medyo pangit, matataas talaga yung bids ng market participants. So pagtapos na yung auction namin, ina-award na siya. 'Di ba, settlement date is T+2. So may communication yung NROS namin tsaka yung PhilPass ng BSP to make sure na merong balance ng cash sa DDA account, sa deposit account ng bangko na yon, ng GSED na yon, para mabayaran yung securities. And if may sufficient balance naman, matatransfer siya sa account ng treasury. Parang ganun yung bayaran na nagaganap. Tapos ma-register na sa NROS namin na this security has been awarded to this GSED at this amount. So kung nakuha lahat to, 10 million yung na-award at 4%. Ganun. Yun yung overview ng process ng auction namin dito sa Treasury for GS. Do you have any questions? I think we have questions here.
Yes, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can unmute.
Hello.
Hi, yes, go ahead.
Hi, hello. I have a question about the auction process and because you mentioned earlier that we had they call it the stop off rate. The way it gets rounded down to 1/8 of the nearest 1/8 of a of 100, right? So does that also affect um the the bid? So for example, if there's a bid that's do you still round down those bids in the auction, or is that for something else?
Well, usually what happens during our auction, since parang it's commonly ano naman, it's parang it's a common knowledge na nag-round down kami. Most of the bids then, especially for rate setting exercises, nagko-converge na siya at those rates dun sa 1/8 of 1%. But let's say yung bids ay kumbaga nasa odd, kung pasok naman siya dun sa cut-off namin, then tatanggapin pa rin namin siya.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next question will be from Outsmart.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yes,
Go ahead.
You.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to ask about the auction strength. You mentioned earlier that, for example, if you were going to reject uh, an auction in its entirety, it's a sign of weakness. I'd like to just clarify whether or not there's a benchmark or a standard of accepted versus rejected. For example, is 60% a strong auction or 75%? Just wanted to clarify.
Okay, so when we talk about the strength of the auction, it's really more of the bid to cover ratio. So for example, right now for our bond auctions, we have 35 billion. So we announced that we wanted to raise 35 billion in this particular auction. So if you would look at the bid to cover ratio, which is the total bids over our offering. So for example, we are raising 35 billion and all the bids of all GSEDs totaled 70 billion. So parang it's 2 times covered. The auction is 2 times covered, and that's generally a healthy auction kasi mataas yung demand kumbaga. But there are times na we can see that the auction is weak, so yung coverage ratio niya, for example, we are raising 35 billion tapos as in saktong-sakto lang na yung gustong mag-bid, gustong mag-participate ay mga 35, 36 billion lang. That's a relatively weak auction. But in extreme cases, there are times probably around 2018 na we wanted to raise 35 billion, we don't even meet that in total bids. So yun talaga yung mahinang auction. Usually when that happens, we just reject the auction kasi 35 yung kailangan namin tapos yung total bids mga 20 billion lang. We often just reject. So yung parang qualifier kung malakas yung auction can be seen in the historical bid to cover ratios of our auctions.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Okay. From 3FMH6 Group. Yes, go ahead.
Third question po. Central banks are known to purchase treasury securities. So, can they purchase also in the auctions po? Or bawal po?
No, kasi they are not parang allowed to purchase it through the primary market. So yung extent ng participation ng central bank sa context ng Philippines sa bond market, government bond market is through their secondary market purchases. There are some countries na kaya mag-participate. I think Indonesia, the Bank of Indonesia can participate in the auctions, but here in the Philippines, hindi siya. The BSP purchases through the secondary market.
Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions habang Mark is here? Any questions on the technicalities of how to go through about the auction or any clarifications? Okay, we have Outsmart.
Okay, hi, hello again. I have another question this time about the actual auction process. So when the Treasury announces an auction for a certain security, do they generally give out the range of like accepted yields, or is that more based on or is that coming more from the buyers based on the market data?
It really depends on the secondary market levels. At least yun yung nagiging benchmark. So we compare it with, for example, it's a reissuance of a specific bond. We often compare it with the actual trading levels, yung presyo ng bond na yun as of like yesterday. Ganun. Pero kami dito sa Treasury, we have our internal models din to determine whether, let's say, we have tolerance to give a little bit of premium or not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. We have another, okay. Go.
What if you determine po na the borrowing costs are so high, pero you need to raise debt trends. So how do you manage that? Ano po yung steps na ginagawa ng government po?
So, ang isa sa mga our parang first line of defense is actually having a cash buffer. So kami dito sa government, we make sure na we have ample cash na baon at a certain point, at any point in time. Para in the case na kailangan naming mag-reject ng mga ganito kasi ang taas masyado ng rates, we can afford to do so kasi kumbaga may ipon kami, may naitago muna kami. Pero if we don't want to use up that cash buffer, as I mentioned earlier, meron pa naman kaming iba't ibang sources of funding. So for example, as I mentioned earlier, 2018 was a hard time for us to issue domestically kasi inflation even reached a high of 6.7%. So ang tataas ng rates sa mga auctions namin. So what we did is we went out sa international capital markets. We raised funds through dollar bonds, even entered panda bonds para lang ma-alleviate yung upward pressure sa rates on the domestic market. So may mga mechanisms kami to manage the increase in rates.
Okay.
We have questions from the chat box.
Okay, question from the chat box from Joseph Emmanuel. How do you break ties if there are equal bids and volume?
Yung kung may equal bids and volume, pino-prorate siya sa kung ano naman, kung hindi talaga siya may ibigay, as I mentioned earlier, 'di ba? Parang if 1 billion yung bids tapos 400 na lang naman yung kailangan namin, that's equal bids. Pino-prorate namin, ina-average. So even if the volume ay equal din, then hahatiin na lang sa kanila as long as pasok sa cut-off namin. Proration yung ginagawa.
Okay, may follow-up question pa from Joseph Emmanuel, or are you good na with that answer? None, thank you. Okay, who else has questions? Mark has been very gracious in answering our students. So, kay Mahiya. Actually, Mark, I have a question. Are the participants allowed to, di ba naka-FB Live sometimes yung auction natin? Can they participate in that? Can they view it?
Yeah, they can view it kaso
Okay.
walang audio yung
Walang audio.
kasi parang kaya hindi namin pinaparinig sa mga tao kung ano yung mga diskusyon na nagaganap kasi they might get an idea about sa tolerance levels namin that could affect
Yeah.
the sinasabi. Pero yeah, open siya yung options namin napapanood sa sa
FB
Facebook.
Live.
Yeah.
Okay, sige. Ayan, guys, you can watch the auction. There will be an auction on
Monday.
Monday and Tuesday.
1 p.m.
So yes, at 1 p.m. you can check it out on FB Live, so you can have an idea how it's done, and that's also how the traders and also the brokers get information, first-hand information on the auction results. Which FB page? Okay, Sir Mark.
Bureau of the Treasury. So facebook.com/treasuryph. So pag sinerge yung Bureau of the Treasury, yan, nandun yun sa live videos namin.
Okay, don't forget, it's at 1 o'clock on Monday and Tuesday. Actually, it's every Monday for the Treasury bills and Tuesdays for government bonds. Okay, who else has questions?
Just a reminder for the auction next week. If you wish to participate, our deadline is at 12 p.m., right? Tama ba?
Yes,
12 p.m.
12 p.m.
For their virtual or simulated participation in the auction, submit your bids before 12 p.m. on Monday
Yes.
and Tuesday if you want to participate.
Yes, just like in real life, we any bids or beyond the auction scheduled time frame, i-reject na siya ni BTR.
Pero syempre dapat sumali sila kasi gusto namin na
Yes.
mataas yung coverage ng auctions namin.
Yes. Okay, so for the students, remember our deadline is 12 o'clock. So for the simulated ones. Okay, any other questions from our students? Any questions or comments or clarifications? Or maybe questions for Mr. Mark? Bawal siyang tanungin kung single siya. Just kidding. Okay, going once, twice for the questions, guys. While we've got Mr. Mark. Okay, so looks like they've been satisfied with the answers and all the clarifications. Mukhang okay na ang ating mga students. Okay, Mr. Mark Hong, thank you very much for gracing us with your lecture and your knowledge and your expertise on the BTR process of auction. Hopefully we can meet again soon, and thank you very much and good afternoon, Mark.
Bye, Mark. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Good luck,
Bye.
guys. Kaya na yan. Buwatin kayo.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Before we proceed with the second lecture, we have Ms. Rhea Manalo, the HR manager from our good sponsor, China Bank, to discuss a special presentation for all of us. Good afternoon, Ms. Rhea, please.
Hi, Ma'am Camille. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay
Yes,
naman.
we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So,
Go ahead.
I'll do my share screen na.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, Sorry, can you view my screen?
We are not seeing
Not yet,
anything
not
yet.
yet.
Ah,
Yes.
alright. Sorry, ma'am. There, that one.
Okay, yes, we can see it now.
All right,
Presentation
so
on. Thank you.
okay. So good afternoon, everyone, members and organizers of the Money Market Association of the Philippines and the CFA Society Philippines. So I am Rhea Manalo. I head the Strategic Talent Sourcing Department of China Bank. That's under HR Talent Acquisition and Placement Division. So for this afternoon, I will be giving you a brief background about China Bank and various career opportunities that we can offer for the members of the association and the graduating finance students. So, China Banking Corporation is one of the leading private universal banks in the Philippines. We were established in 1920 and we just celebrated our 100 years last August 2020. We provide a full range of banking products and services, and we also serve other needs of our diverse customers through our subsidiaries. Our subsidiaries are China Bank Savings, the China Bank Capital, China Bank Securities, the Resurgent Capital, China Bank Insurance Brokers, and our affiliate Manulife China Bank Life Assurance.
Hi, Ms. Rhea, sorry,
there.
excuse me, we're not, hindi lang naka-PowerPoint presentation yung, maybe we can, so
Sorry.
the participants can view our screens, our slides.
So, yan. Hindi ba, ma'am? Okay na?
Hindi pa.
Oh,
Hold on na.
for a while.
I think that could do this slide.
Yan, okay, that should do
Ito na lang.
kung ayaw niyang
Oo nga eh.
yeah.
Yan.
So we can just go
Expand ko na
along
lang.
with that. Yes.
Ayan.
If you want to
So-
see more clearly, okay. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay na? Sorry. Yan. So, there. So, these are our subsidiaries. So, our products and services are accessible through our wide distribution network nationwide and convenient and secure digital banking channels. So, we have 637 branches nationwide and 1,037 ATMs. And for a more convenient banking, we have the China Bank mobile app and telephone. So our China Bank mobile app was named Mobile Banking and Payment Initiative of the Year in 2020. We continuously create and implement our digital initiatives to enhance customer experience. So we are the first privately owned commercial bank in the Philippines and among the first companies to be listed on the local stock exchange. Just last December, our investment grade credit rating was affirmed by Moody's Investor Service, while in October 2021, the Philippine Rating Services Corporation gave us the highest credit rating of PRS AAA. That means we have a very strong capacity to meet our financial commitments. We are also recognized for excellence in corporate governance. We consistently receive governance awards from the PSE, the Corporate Governance Asia, Global Banking and Finance Review. The Institute of Corporate Directors also distinguished China Bank with the 4 Golden Arrow recognition. To continue with our financial and performance highlights, we ended 2021 stronger than ever. For the year 2021, we posted a 25% increase in net income to 15.1 billion pesos, which translated to an improved return on equity and return on assets of 13.6% and 1.5% respectively. So there. So hence, we remain to be liquid, profitable, and well capitalized. So the recent awards, due to our excellent performance for the year 2021, the Hong Kong-based financial publication, The Asset, named as the best bank in the Philippines. Also, our China Bank Capital has the distinction of Best Fund Advisor Domestic for 6 consecutive years. Our financial strength was also recognized by the Asian Banker. We emerged as the second strongest in the Philippines and among the top 20% in the Asia-Pacific region. It made the biggest leap, jumping from 323rd place in 2020 and for this year, 81st place. The Investment House Association of the Philippines Awards 2021 also recognized China Bank Capital as the best fund house. More from the awards, China Bank and our investment banking arm, China Bank Capital, emerged among the top winners at the 17th PDS Annual Awards of the Philippine Dealing System Holdings Corp and subsidiaries held last March 25. China Bank won the Cesar Virata Award. It is the highest distinction for the bank category, while China Bank Capital was named Top Corporate Issue Manager, Arranger for the investment house category. So may I just show you briefly our board of directors, which represents our shareholders and the highest governing authority at China Bank. We are guided by our chairman Hansi, with our vice chairman Gilbert T, and our president Mr. William Wang. The rest are our directors, with Mr. Ricardo Chua, the former China Bank president and now the advisor to the board. Next are our management committee. We have our president, Mr. Wang, our COO, Mr. Nguyen, Mr. Cheng, our chief finance officer. The others are our segment heads and group heads. They formulate the bank's business plans and budgets and the implementation of our corporate strategies. So that's about China Bank. Now we will proceed with the personal and career opportunities that we offer. So what do we offer? We often call ourselves in talent acquisition team as more than your banker, we are your right career partner. To start off, we'll give you a glimpse of our management training program. So we are hiring management trainees all year round. So what it is? Management training is an extensive fast-track developmental program that blends classroom, on-the-job, and standalone training. It has the objective to develop fresh graduates with high potential for success and leadership. So after the training, the MTs are appointed as supervisors. That's the first level officer. And they're assigned in strategic business units of the bank. So the objective of the program is, of course, to equip high potential candidates with the knowledge of banking principles, functions, and operations, and to develop the competencies and attitudes necessary in managing people, since will be hired as supervisors. So the management training program cycle starts with the on-the-job training, where the MTs are rotated in various business units. So they gain familiarity of the different bank functions. The classroom training, this is an supervisory development program. It's a 2-month classroom virtual training that aims to equip trainees with the knowledge, skills, and attitudes of a potential bank officer. Then after that, of course, you have the validation exams. An MT must also take written examinations at the latter part of his training to gauge the knowledge of the banking principles acquired during the OJT and the classroom training. And you'll be having the specialization. It is a standalone on-the-job training or assignment of MTs that prepares you for the assumption of officership. Then the final piece is the MT Revalida. The Revalida is an oral examination with a screening panel who gauge their readiness to assume a supervisory role. So what are the training tracks? So the MT may be trained under the business development units of the bank, the retail banking, which is the branches, the finance and investments. This includes treasury, the trust, wealth management. We also have the operations and support. This is the business process management, the different operation units in the bank, the research and development also, and this for technical track for technical tracks, we're giving opportunities for computer or IT graduates for our digital banking group. So, to discuss about the qualification of MT graduates, we're looking for graduates with honors or Latin honors of any business-related courses or with master's degree in business administration. This is an extensive development course, the MT. So we need talents who have the potential to take on leadership roles and interested to build a career in the banking industry. But aside from the MT opportunity, we also have several opportunities for fresh graduates of any finance and business courses. We also hire behavioral science graduates and IT or computer-related fields. As the line says, experience is not required, but passion is. So we need passionate and dedicated individuals interested to start their careers in the bank. So the positions are the accounting assistants, audit assistants, business analysts, credit analysts. We also hire for human resource, marketing, programmers, risk systems, phone bankers, and of course, traders. So for our 637 branches nationwide, we offer the following positions. These are the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao branches of China Bank. These are the branch operations assistant, customer relations assistant, the marketing, and the teller position. Following the new normal, our hiring process starts with virtual interviews from HR, then the hiring unit. So we give face-to-face exams for qualified and acceptable candidates already. We make sure that we follow strict protocols and guidelines when we do a face-to-face recruitment. So after that, we do the final process like the job, the salary offer, the requirements, and the necessary background checks. So that's the final step of the hiring process. So in China Bank, I would also like to share with you that we recognize and promote excellent performance and ideas. So we offer different awards and recognitions like the Model Employee Award, the Top Sales Marketing Award, the Deal of the Year Award, and also the Special Citation Awards and recognitions. We also support the employee development and advancement through promotions, training, and of course, engagements. So we support and provide work-life integration programs to help our employees lead a happy and productive life at work and at home. So we offer lifestyle and wellness webinars monthly. We have live demonstration classes during pandemic. These workshops include basic painting, planting, baking. We have the yoga, mindfulness, and meditation workshops. We at China Bank also give back to our communities. So we've been supporting our communities through different outreach programs. Pre-pandemic, we went to different daycare centers in Manila, met with the kids of our soldiers to the House of Elderly Orphanage, and share our blessings through charitable gifts and donations from the bank and our employees. But of course, year 2020 and 2021, during the pandemic, due to restrictions in during community quarantine, we thought of raising funds for the kids of our service crew. They are our guards, messengers, and admin personnel. So we bought gadgets for them, for the kids, so they can continue to study online and at home. All right. So we also care in China Bank. From the onset of pandemic, our priority is the safety and well-being of our employees and customers. Immediately after the announcement of community quarantine, we adjusted our plans and strategies and established safety protocols and policies for all. So we at China Bank developed the new normal workforce and work management plan for the COVID-19 pandemic. So this includes team rotations, remote working. We provide masks and facials to our employees and service crew. We also continue to provide logistical support and transportation for our employees. We continue to pay full salaries and benefits for them, including financial assistance to our agency personnel. So I'm proud to say that China Bank really provides and takes care of its employees. There, this almost ends my presentation. I would like to just invite all of you to explore careers in the banking industry and expand your professional experience and achievement by joining us here in China Bank. You may email us your resume if you're interested to apply with us at careers@chinabank.ph. You may also follow our China Bank website or Facebook account, the official LinkedIn account, Twitter and Instagram account of China Bank for more information about the vacancies and about us. So,
Okay, thank you,
Um,
Rhea, for the
yes,
sorry,
ma'am.
you were saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
I'm Dana, Ma'am Camille.
Yes, I'm opening the floor for questions from our participants who might be interested or any form of questions to our speaker, to Rhea. We have a little time so we can accommodate some questions. Okay, there's a question here in the chat box. Are you open for any internships, Miss Rhea?
Yes, we do. We do accommodate internships. They may also just email a copy of their resume at careers@chinabank.ph with the endorsement from the school or their colleges.
Okay, you can take a screenshot of the email that's right on the presentation. And by the way, this presentation is also recorded, so you can go back to this one as you may. If we will send our resume, is there a format to follow? It's a good question from an HR expert.
Yeah, you
Miss
can
Rhea.
just put you can just put your, for example, I'll be applying for HR assistant, like HR assistant Rhea Manalo application. Just that. We open every emails that comes in. Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are you open for personal internships po? Okay, that was the
That's, what do you mean personal? That's the face-to-face?
Personal internships. So what do you not endorsed by the school?
No, sorry. We only have programs for those required by the school.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from our participants? Okay, so segue ako. China Bank is my first company where I first worked. My first job.
Talaga, ma.
Yes, right out of school, I went to
Mhm.
China Bank. That's where I built my career for 5 years. I stayed there.
Good start,
Okay.
right?
So participants, good start ang China Bank. Even our project head is currently the employee there now, si Miss Chris. Okay, guys, any other questions for Miss Rhea? Take this opportunity na baka mamukhaan niya kayo and she might be able to recognize you if she does your interviews one day if you decide to apply to China Bank.
Yep.
Okay, so I think, okay, eto. Last question. Are there any management trainee positions available for the trust? For trust department, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah. The management training tracks also covers trust management.
Or
unit.
treasury. Yan, may
Yeah.
pahabol siya. Or treasury.
Yes. Yes. We're looking for MTs for this unit also. We are also looking for MTs for our China Bank Capital, the investment arm of the bank.
Okay. So, pagka-graduate nyo guys, you can send your resumes to China Bank.
Yes, please.
You're always on the scout for talent.
Right.
Okay. Hi, ma'am. Do China Bank require certificates for Treasury Department?
They do for officer roles, but
Mhm.
for staff positions, if you're a fresh graduate, no.
Okay.
May I answer that?
Sige, Ma'am Chris. Please.
Okay, go
For
ahead, Chris.
if you will be a part of the sales team or the fixed income department, the fixed income's license is required. But of course, when you are hired, you are not expected to get to have the license immediate to have the license. So if you are hired, and then you will have to take the certification.
Yes.
So sponsored by the Treasury unit, right, Ma'am Chris?
Yes.
Sponsored by the bank.
Okay, mag-apply kayo kay Miss Chris after nyo mag-graduate, guys. Pag-qualified kayo. Actually, based on my experience, China Bank, I'm a legal management graduate, but I was able to get into treasury as a trader. So that's very encouraging, and they really look into a lot of things before they hire you. So wala namang prejudice into the course, or it's really more of if you're more fit for the job.
And if you're
I can vouch for
passionate,
that. Yes.
if you're passionate to do that treasury
Yes.
role.
Okay, so okay, last question, guys. Do you accept students who have finished all their academic requirements but have not yet officially graduated? Good question.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, as long as you have the copy of grades that you've finished all the subjects. You can start applying and working with us right away.
Okay, that's our last question for Ms. Rhea. Rhea, thank you very much for your presentation and for gracing us with your presence this afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am.
I
Enjoy
hope to
the
see
rest
you
of the
again.
afternoon. Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Bye. Thank you. Okay. Let us now proceed for the second lecture of the series, the Introduction to Bloomberg and Fixed Income Analytics. To facilitate the lecture, we have Ms. Marissa Lim and Ms. Nguyen. Ms. Sim has been an account manager covering the Philippines for 2 years. Previously, Marissa specialized in fixed income and portfolio management in analytics, while Ms. Nguyen is the account manager for Bloomberg clients in Vietnam and the Philippines as well. Previously, Ms. Nguyen was an equity advanced specialist focusing on equity market, technical analysis, and portfolio management. Let us welcome now Ms. Marissa Sim and Ms. Nguyen.
Thank you so much, Camille. Can you hear me Good afternoon. Are you able to hear me from your end?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, all. So thank you all for taking time out for this event today. Bloomberg is once again really happy to be partnering with Mart. I am Marissa Sim, the Bloomberg Account Manager for Philippines, and I've been covering Philippines for 2 over years now. So today I will be covering some of the fixed income tools that most of our users rely on for their daily workflow. And should you have any questions, do not hesitate to use the Zoom chat. I will kickstart the session with some basic functions and macroeconomics monitoring tool as well. Okay, so without further ado, I will share my screen. Okay, perfect. I believe everyone's able to view my screen now. Yeah.
Yes, we can see you. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll kickstart the session by running through more on your economic calendar, right? So what do you do? If every one of you is able to log on to your terminal right now, you can run all these functions alongside me. Okay, so you just have to run ECO on the command line. So this blue rectangle at the top is known as the command line. Feel free to run ECO, and immediately you will see under the drop-down the recommended functions called economic calendars. So this is where you can click on this economic calendars and you will see the function run on your screen. So by default, I have Philippines here. If you're running it on your end, it will probably show United States of America. And what you can do is simply just type in the Philippines and click here. So then once you hit enter, it should show you the economic calendar of the upcoming different events that's going to happen or the releases that will be happening in the Philippines. Now, once this has been done, you can click on settings and set this as your default. Okay, so this is very important, especially whenever you're looking at be FX or FI, which is fixed income. This is important because you have things like your interest rates, your CPI, which sometimes will affect the market activity. Okay, so if you realize here, you also see different green buttons, and these buttons allow me to receive alerts in advance of these releases. So if you want to receive alerts on this, all you need to do is just click on the bell button and you will see a pop-up. Then within this, you have the option to actually select in advance of release, and you can select if you want to receive it 1 minute prior the release or 5 minutes prior the release, so that you can brace yourself for any market movement that is about to happen. Okay, the bottom part, this is more of the Bloomberg economic news and analysis that you can actually click on, and it will just take you to the page itself. Okay, so if there are any functions here that you realize, okay, I may need to use this for my own analysis, what you can do is click on the option button at the top right and click on favorites, followed by add to favorites. So ECO, you don't change the command here, but the naming part, naming convention, you can change this to economic calendar, just for easy referencing. So going forward, all you need to do is just click on the options button, hover your mouse over favorite, and you'll be able to find all the favorite functions here. Okay, now the next thing that I'll show you would be the economic forecast, right? And what you can do is you can run this function called ECFC for economic forecast. If you cannot remember the mnemonics of the function, not to worry. All you need to do is simply just type out the full name, and you will find it under the suggested drop down here. So I see functions, suggested functions, ECFC for economic forecast. So simply click on this and it will take you to the page itself. Now, similarly for this, you can simply change, instead of US, change it to the Philippines. And here you will be able to view the economic forecast. And this is more of the contributor composite, meaning we pull in all individual contributors, and this is more of the consensus. If there's any specific banks that you want to follow closely, you can click on the drop down here to select on the specific bank itself or the research house itself. Okay, and as you can see here, this is more yearly basis. If you want to change it to quarterly, just click on this button here, and it will change it to a quarterly forecast for you. Okay, so similarly, you want to change the country here to Philippines, you can simply click on this 97 set as default view. Okay, so the next function I will run through with you, if you have your keyboard right in front of you right now, you can click on this button called F2. So this was simply, if you click on F2, you will see GOVT, which stands for government. And this also stands for, this will take you to the landing page of all your sovereign or government functions. So simply click on F2 and hit enter. Once you hit enter on the keyboard, you will see all these drop downs. So this is more like an easy way for you to navigate around all the government or sovereign related functions we have on the terminal. Okay. So the next function I'll run through with you is called New Issue Monitor. So if you type in New Issue Monitor, you will be able to find a suggested function here called NIM for New Issue Monitor. And you can simply click on this. Now, what this does for you, it shows you the pipeline or all the upcoming new issues in the Philippines. Okay, so how do you filter this? Simply click on number 1, show filters. Click on this, number 3, edit, to change the country or region that you're looking at, and simply type in Philippines. Now, once this is done, remember to check Philippines, click on add, and then all you need to do is just hit back to return. Okay, so you still see that it's a mix of everything. Now, if you only want to view the issues, then simply click on the drop down here, issues and news, and remember to just click on issues and hit enter. This will show you all the new issues. Okay, now once this is done, you can set this as your home page as well. So by setting all these as your homepage or default views, going forward, you don't have to keep changing and making edits here. Okay, so this is one way of looking at all the new issues in the Philippine market. Now, the next function I will show you is very relevant to you because it allows you to basically filter through the list of bonds available on the terminal. Okay, so one of the function I will run through with you is called the fixed income search screens. So what you can do here is to run SRCH or fixed income search. So once you click on SRCH or fixed income search, it will take you to this landing page. Now, this is the page that you will use to filter or screen out all the different bonds that you want based on the criteria that you have. So some of the criteria you can have will probably be like coupon, right? If there's a certain coupon that you want, a certain type of bond that you're looking at, for example, are you looking at bullet bond? You can use this function then. So what you can do is you see at the top here, there's number 11 asset classes. So you can click on number 11 asset classes and you can actually search, for example, is it just corporate bonds that you're looking at, or do you also want to look at government securities? So once you click on this, you can close. So let's say now I just want to look at government bonds, for example. I can uncheck corporates and just click on close. So what happens here is it will only show me all government bonds. Okay. So the other thing that you can click is you can search within this bar here. This allows you to include other types of criteria. So by default, it will only pull up all actively traded bonds. Okay, so here, for example, I can select and type in country of risk. For country of risk, I can put it as Philippines, for example. Okay, so now you see there's a total of 188 bonds, government bonds with country of risk in the Philippines. Okay, so what you can do apart from this is you can even input, for example, if you want fixed maturity, you can actually put the type of maturity you're looking at. Or if you want certain tenor of the bonds, for example, I only want bonds that with maturity of less than 5 years, less than 10 years, you can input that within your search criteria as well. Now, once you're done with this, you can click on actions to save this search so that going forward, so here maybe I can put, I'll just put smart. Once I key in all the criteria going forward, all I need to do is go to my searches and I will be able to find the saved search. So I don't have to keep rekeying in all the criteria again. Okay, so once you've input the list of criteria you want to look at, click on number 1 results. And this will pull out the full list of bonds for you. Okay, so here you will be able to see all the bonds. You can definitely add in more columns if you want to. You can, for example, here I realize there's no yield. I can type in yield and I can put the yield here as well. Let me put mid yield. Right, then it will populate for me as well. So once I got the list of bonds that I filter out, I can choose to export it into Excel if I want to for monitoring purposes. Okay, so this is the other tool you can use to actually search through the list of bonds that you want to find based on the specific criteria that you have. Okay, so apart from this, once you have run through the list of bonds here and you know which bond you want to look at, what you can do is to simply drag and drop the bond into the command line. So this is how you can load a security up. Okay, so to load a security, once you drag and drop it here, you realize that the first black rectangle here, it changes. So it will reflect the security that you're running on your end right now. Okay, so now that I'm running this bond, RPGB bond, you can then start running multiple search functions that you want to look at. Okay, so one very common function you can run is the description function. Okay, so if you run description, you will find it under suggested functions here, security description. Simply click on this and you will be able to find more information on that specific bond, such as coupon payment, coupon frequency, maturity, what kind of bond this is. So this is a bullet bond. You can look at the amount outstanding, amount issued, and the minimum increment, right? So this is something that might be useful for you when you want to look up more on a specific security or bond. So similarly, earlier when I ran the F2 button for GOVT, you will see that the description button is here also, or the description function is here. So you can simply click on this to run it. Okay, so this is how you can actually easily look for certain functions that's related to government securities by hitting the F2 button, followed by the Enter key on your keyboard. Okay, so besides this, apart from description function, the other tool that might be very relevant to you or something that, so on the left-hand side here, you will be able to find other information or other functions that will be relevant to you. For example, if you're looking at bond ratings, right? That's something that you want to look at. You can simply click on number 16, bond ratings, to look at the bond rating here. Okay, if let's say you want to look at prices, right? So here there are other quick links to look at all Q prices, meaning what all the other counterparties are actually quoting in the market out there. So by clicking on all Q, a pop-up will appear and you can look at all the different counterparties and what is the bid and ask. Okay, so bonds are traded over the counter. So what you see is not going to be a transparent price where everyone's buying and selling at a fixed price. So it's a bit different from your equity or stocks. So different counterparties can actually quote you different prices. So what they do is they usually add a spread to the price. Okay, so here besides that, if you want to look at things like trade history on the bond, you can click on this number 34 TDH for trade history, and you will be able to find all the different trade history. So the price, the volume, the trades. Okay, so this is something that you can also look at on your end. Last but not least, we also have things like news that's available. So company news, especially if you're loading or you're looking into a corporate bond, then you can definitely find the company news on that specific bond itself. Okay, so issuer description, this is more for, let's say, if you're running a corporate bond, you want to know who the parent company is, what the parent company does, you can click on number 26, issuer description, and you will be able to read up more on the issuer. Okay, so this is the description of the bond. So we already ran through the main menu, which is F2. We ran through the description page as well. We ran through how to search a bond, as RCH or NIM for new issuances. Now we will also run through the curve finder on how you can look at the curves. Okay, so if you run CRVF or simply just type curve finder here, you will be able to find under suggested function CRVF for curve finder. Now, why do people look at curve finder? Sometimes they want to find the underlying members of a curve, or they want to, maybe compare spreads of corporate bond against treasury, right? So what you can do is just type in Philippine. You'll see the Philippine sovereign curve here. You can click on this and simply chart. So you must remember to click on number 1, graph selected curves or GC, and this will show you the curve. Okay, so once this is done, you can click on 98 tables, and this will show you all the underlying security used to actually plot the chart. Now, the good thing about using GC, let me pull out the bigger curve, is you will be able to interpolate the curve. Let's say there's this particular tenor that you're looking at, right? But there's no specific bonds with that tenor, but you want to look at the yield of it. So when you plot a chart here, at the right-hand side, if you can't find it, remember to just click on the arrow here to expand, and you should find interpolate curves here. Then you click on interpolate curves. This allows you to specify the term or the maturity that you want to look at. So in this case, let's say I'm looking at a term that's not very, it's not something very common. Let's say I do 2 months. I just have to type in 2M that represents 2 months and hit enter. Then you will see that the yield is being calculated out for me. And what they do basically is the system interpolates this curve to derive the value of 2.207 for a 2-month maturity security. Okay, so that's something that you can also do on your end by using this, right? Just to quickly calculate the yield of a specific tenor. Similarly, if you want to plot other bonds here, you can definitely do this, right? I can type in a government bond and plot it against a single, I can just plot a single bond against this curve. But because this is a member, so you see that it shows you that this is the member of the curve, and this is where this bond is lying here. So if you want to look at the underlying members, simply click on 98 tables to find the underlying members of this curve. Okay, so the next thing I'll run through with you is on SRCH earlier on, we ran through how you can find your government bonds. So if ever you need to find corporate bonds, you can simply do so as well. Just remember to click number 11, asset classes, and uncheck the government sector. So it will only pull out corporate bonds for you. Similarly, you can put country of risk again to be based in Philippines in order to pull out the list of corporate bonds. So now you see there's 291 actively traded corporate bonds with country of risk residing in the Philippines. Then simply run results and you can see the full list of bonds here. Okay, those with the green leaves here just indicate that it's a green bond. Those that you probably see a little sunshine here, it would tell you that it's a sustainability bond. Okay, so that's something that you might also want to take note of when maybe participating in this challenge. So the other thing that we would like to run through now is more of news. As you know, Bloomberg is also, a lot of the traders rely on our news to see what's going on in the markets. Okay, so one of the very commonly used function is FIRS, right, for Bloomberg First Word. Now, the good thing about Bloomberg First Word here is we summarize all the news into bullet point forms for you. So instead of the lengthy full content, you can view everything in a summarized view. And you can also click on actions to actually select the market focus. So for this case, if let's say you're looking more at credits and governments, you can search, right? You can do Asia credit, you can do government, US government, and then you can just update this. Now, if it's only Philippine news that you're looking for, you can also simply just type your focus in the Ember search bar here. So if I were to type Philippines, you can see under the drop down, this under suggested topics, Philippines, just click on this and it will filter and pull out all Philippine related news for you. Okay, so for example, if I were to click into one of it, you can see here, everything is in bullet point forms as well. Okay. Now, besides this, if there's any more macro news that you want to look at, maybe opinion pieces that you also want to track, you can run this function called MLIV or Markets Live Blog. Once running MLIV here, similarly to filter just topics related to Philippines, just type in Philippines here and click on the suggested topics. So this is what you will be able to see from your end. Okay, so this is something that you might also want to look at from your site. So news that's related to Philippines. The other one that most traders look at, you can also run NIPHIL. So NIPHIL, and this will pull out all Philippines news. And as you can realize on the right-hand side, we don't just pull out Bloomberg news, we also filter out third-party news for you. Okay, so this is something that you might also want to track on the site. So in the interest of time, I'll also like to show you, maybe just quickly run through with you something that you can also do maybe within your teams itself, using the Bloomberg chat. If ever you need to create a chat, just within the team itself, you can definitely run this. So what I'll do is you can simply search for your team's name here, add them. So for example, I'm typing my friend or my colleague's name. I just click on this and you will see the Bloomberg chat appear. And this is how you can communicate with one another. If let's say right now you're not meeting in person, you can also use the IB chat to communicate with one another, share news articles. It's really easy. If let's say you're running through, if you find a certain news article that you're very interested in, all you need to do is just click on it, send it, and send it to IB. All right, then here you can just type the name of your friend and just share it with them. Okay, so this is something that you can look at. Besides that, if there's certain securities that you also want to share with your friend, it's as easy as just doing a drag and drop into the chat. So just drag and drop this, and you see the security will automatically populate for you. And all you need to do is just hit send, and the other user will also be able to see the bond here. Okay, so that's something that you can also run on your end. So maybe for now that I've covered a majority of the functions, and I guess some of the basic functions, I just wanted to check if there's any questions on your end.
Okay. Marissa,
Yeah.
I answered it, but you may
Oh, so sorry.
confirm it. The Bloomberg access that we have. Okay, the Bloomberg access that we have for the competition is a one-time use only for the campaign. Is that correct? It's only one user.
Yes. So whichever user actually registered their name, the access will be under that user.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, and maybe just to close things off also, if the team is interested, I will just share my email maybe, and I have a launchpad built for the team as well for fixed income
Yeah.
trades. So
Yes.
there's this thing called
Yeah, Marissa, there's
LPVN.
another question.
Oh,
Does BBGCN could help also for fixed income searches?
sorry, Carlos, can you what is CN? I'm so sorry.
Maybe the current news. I think you.
Okay, so if you want to just look for fixed income, right? Yes, you can do that as well. Oh, this company news. Okay, yes. So if let's say you're already looking at a company bond, let me maybe just quickly pull out a company bond here, right? Sorry, I'll just quickly pull out a company bond. Oh, this is money market. Sorry, let me. I think I saw it. You see.
Do Ali PM Corp.
Oh, there. Thank you. Let me pull it out. Yeah. So if let's say there's a company that you want to follow closely, right? You can also run the function called RELS or related securities. So this is slightly a bit different how you'll go about navigating it. First, you pull out the parent company, then you run RELS for related securities. On the right-hand side, you will see this thing called number 13, bond and generic tickers. So when you click on this thing called bond and generic tickers, it would pull out the list of securities, credit securities, fixed income securities that has been issued under this company. So here you can quickly see that these are the list of securities issued by Ayala. And if you want to, you can pull out, right, all this. You can just drag and drop. So everything is really just drag and drop. It's very simple. You can just drag and drop it at the top. You can also just run CN on the bond, right? Then it'll pull out all company news related to Ayala. Okay, so not to worry. Yes, you can run CN for fixed income searches as well. it will just pull out the issuer news for you.
Okay.
So if no further questions, I've created a fixed
And there's
income model.
another question. Sorry.
Sorry.
Also from Carla. Career-wise, which career in cap markets can we utilize Bloomberg?
Can we capital markets? Okay, we actually have a lot of functions available. For example, the league table. It is a very common function that most of them use, and the reason for this also is they can use this as a marketing tool. Right, in the capital markets, what you can do is you can definitely create your own league table, and you can even type in country to be Philippines. Let me do this quickly. Let me pull out the table. Okay, so I see country of incorporation Philippines as 4,223. Okay, let me just update this quickly, and you will be able to see the league table here. So these are the banks that have been issuing secure bonds, country of residing in the Philippines. And why the capital markets team, they tend to use this, they use it for marketing purposes as well, right? Whenever they're approaching a company, for example, the company, let's say it's an international company who wants to issue bond in peso in the Philippines, and they definitely want to work with a bank that's very, that's already has experience dealing in the Philippine market, right? So this is one way they go about doing it. They use the league table to show. And if you click within the league table, you will also be able to view the underlying deals that the banks have conducted as well. So this is just one example of the most commonly used functions by your teams as well. Then if you're talking about your debt capital markets, we also have, they use the CRVF tool very often. The reason for that is they have to pull out the interest rate. So whenever they're doing the modelings, for example, they pull out they need to know, what's the interest rates in the country, for example, and then they will, they can use CRVF. That's one of the tools that they look at also. Yeah. So far, any other, I hope I'm able to answer that. But no worries, if there are any other questions, you can feel free to drop me an email as well. I'll be happy to answer that on the site. Maybe it's so in interest of time, before I pass my time over to my colleague, Nguyen, I will show you the this launchpad that I created for the team. If you are interested to have this launchpad, just feel free to drop me an email. I'll send it across to you. Now this launchpad, as you can see, everything is within a page already. I have the economic tab here, the pricing tab. So basically, this is where you find your quotes, the most actively traded bonds. I even created a worksheet here. Then your BVAL prices, and then you have all the different trade history here. Then you also have the yield page. So I have a page for screener. Screener meaning how you can filter out bonds. So basically it's your SRCH function. You have your fixed income worksheet and the new issue monitor that I showed you. And lastly, I have a yield and spread analysis as well. So this is the YAS page. So when you want to do custom calculations on your bonds, input certain prices to look at the spread or the yield, you can use this YAS page. And a fixed income relative valuation is where you want to compare a single bond against its peer bond. Then you can use this function also. Okay, so if any of you are interested or you have further questions, feel free to drop me an email after this. So now I will pass the time over to my colleague, Na, who will run through the portfolio function with you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Marissa. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nga, and I will share with you how we can use the terminal to manage our portfolio. So let me just open a screen. So this is a screen that you will see when you log into the terminal. And let's say in this case, we are looking for ways to manage our portfolio. So we can just type portfolio on this command line. And then we can see from this drop-down menu what are the suggested functions. So we see a few different functions over here, such as this function over here, for portfolio and risk analytics. There's another function, PRTU, portfolio administrations. So the function that we often use to manage portfolio is the function port over here. So let's take a look at this function. So here's the screen for the port function. As you can see, there are many different tabs over here. characteristic holding tracking error, bar scenario performance attribution or intraday. And within each of these steps, there are even more different steps that we can use to analyze. So this is a very comprehensive function for us to manage our portfolio. So for this function, you can run this function upon the own portfolio or an index or a fund. And you can choose what kind of indexes, fund or portfolio you want to run the port function upon from this orange box over here. So if I click into this drop-down menu, I had a few under my drop-down menu already. But let's say I do not see an indexes that I want, or I do not see a fund that I want over here. Then I can just go back onto the page 1 and click into more sources. Then over here, it opens up a dialog box for me to choose what kind of portfolio or fund that I want to see. So for example, I will look at the fund and maybe I want to try this one, PIMCO Income Fund. If the fund that you want does not appear over here, you can just search for the fund from this orange box. So after you choose this, you can just click select. So after you click select over here, you can run this fund upon with a benchmark that you set, for example. Or instead of loading a fund, you can also load a specific index. So I can choose an index over here. But if I do not see the index that I want, similarly, I can click into more sources. And then I choose from indexes and choose which index that I want over here. And I can search from this orange box. So these are the port functions. So before we use this port function, let's go through the step for us to create our own portfolio first. So just now when I type portfolio, there's another function that I can see, which is PRTU. So this is the function that we use to create our own portfolio. So when you run this function, you will see all the portfolio that you had created before. So here are all my portfolio that I had created. To create a new portfolio, I can click into this create button over here. And this dialog box open, so I can put in a name. So I just put in a name over here. Then the access class, you can choose what access class that you want this portfolio to be, whether this equity, balance, FI, or fund of fund. So balance is, let's say the portfolio had security from different access class, equity, fixed income, commodity, FX. Then you can choose balance. Or let's say the portfolio consists of different funds, then you can choose fund of funds. So in this case, let's just choose FI. Then you can set portfolio currency over here. Then we have position type. And from this drop-down menu, I can see there are 3 position types. So let's go through what each one of them is. So the first one is share pile amount. So let's say on the first day, I put in that I want 1,000 Apple bond and 2,000 Google bond. What this type of portfolio does is that it will always stay at this 1,000 Apple bond and 2,000 Google bond. If I do not make any changes at all, it will always stay at the amount that I put in. So that's the first one, share pile amount. The next one is fixed weight. So let's say at the start of the first day, I allocate the weight of my portfolio to be 50% for the Apple bond and 50% for the Google bond. After one day of trading, the Apple or Google bond the price can go up or go down. So it might no longer be 50-50, it might be 48 and 52. What this type of portfolio does is that it will auto rebalance itself. So it will buy or sell on its own on a daily basis so that the weight come back to the original weight that we put in, which is 50% for each of these bonds. So that is for fixed weight. The weight is always fixed at the amount that we put in. Then we had drifting weight. So drifting weight means that, let's say at the start of the first day, I put in 50% for Apple and 50% for Google. After one day, it becomes 52-48. The next day, it becomes 55-45. And this portfolio will not do any auto rebalance at all. It will just let the weight drift like that. So that's why it's called drifting weight. So those are the differences between these 3 types of portfolio. Then over here, for now, we don't need to choose a benchmark here. We can choose a benchmark later, the port function. Down here, we have the calculation profile. And if you click into the calculation profile, you will see a few under Bloomberg default profile. And you might see some or none under the name. So the difference between the one under Bloomberg default profile and the one under the name is that for the Bloomberg default profile later, when you load this view into the bot function, if you see there are 5 columns on the tab, you will only be able to see this 5 column. You will not be able to add or delete any column. But if you use a personal one, then you will be able to customize that. I will show you how we can customize that later. So for now, I can just choose one that is my own personal one. After you have put in all of this setting, you can click create. After you click create, you will arrive at this page that we can put in the holding of our portfolio. On the left corner over here, we see the date. And as you notice, this date is not today, it is yesterday. So the reason why it is yesterday is because we can treat this date like the inception date of our portfolio. And we need some amount of time for us to be able to analyze maybe performance attribution characteristic of a portfolio. So that's why we need this date to be a historical date. So I will just put in one date to be my inception date, for example. So this is April 5th, 2018. After I change this date, I can go down here and put in the holding that I want. So I can just search for the holding that I want. So maybe I want this bond. So when I type in this 7, this refer to Disney bond. And we can
Hello. I'd like to remind everyone to mute their mics, please. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries, thank you. So over here, we had a bond over here. So this bond refer to the Disney bond that the coupon is 7%, and here is the maturity date, and this is a corporate bond. So I can choose this bond, then I can put in maybe how many bond that I want for this specific bond. Then I put in like 1,000, meaning that on this date I start with 1,000 bond for Disney 7. Then I can just do similarly to load other kind of bond for other company that I want. Okay, so over here, all of these are corporate bond. Let's say I want to load US 10-year treasury. I can search US 10, and then we can see this button over here. This refers to the current US 10-year government note, and I can just choose this one and I put how much that I want for this bond. So after I put in all of the holding that I want, I can just save this holding here. So this as a holding that I had on the first day of my portfolio. You can modify this date as well. So let's say I go to 1 year forward to 2019. So on 2019, I still had this holding over here. And maybe now I want to modify it a bit. Maybe I want to add in more Disney 7 bond. So I can change this to from 1,000 to 5,000. So what the portfolio understand is that on this day, I bought 4,000 more of this Disney 7 bond. So I can save this here. Then I go forward some other day, 2020. And then maybe now I kind of want to sell another bond. So I want to sell this bond. Right now I have 5,000 shares. Maybe I just want it to be 3,000. Then I put in 3,000 and I save this. And the portfolio understand that I sold 2,000 for this bond over here. After I save all of this, the way that I can load this portfolio into the bot function is that I can click into this analyze button. Then there's a window, small window like this that open. This will load directly this portfolio into the bot function. So this is one way. We can just click into the analyze button, or I can just run bot separately. So if I run port separately, it will load the latest portfolio that I had just created. So in this case, I just created this portfolio. If you do not see the portfolio that you want to appear over here, you can click into this drop-down menu, choose more sources, go to portfolio, then all of the portfolio that you had created appear over here. The one that had the star next to it is a portfolio that you're gonna see immediately when you click into this drop-down menu. So if you had like the portfolio that you want to see immediately, then you can just take the star next to it. So this is one way we can create our portfolio. We can create through PRTU function. There's also another way that we can use to create our portfolio, which through uploading an Excel file. And the function for that is called BPU, short for Bloomberg Uploader. So when I run this function, I will be able to look into my desktop. So let me just show you the file first of what we need on the file portfolio. So over here, we need a few columns for our portfolio. So portfolio name. So we need one name over here. The security ID, this can be ISIN, CIDOR, or other identification detail for the bond. Then we need the date of the holding, and we need position or weight. So let's take a look at this example. So what it means is that on the 1st of Jan in 2020, for this bond, these are the number of how many bonds that I had for that moment in time, 1st of Jan. So this is the first date. Let me just highlight this. Then this is the 2nd of Jan. And on this day, I can see that the first two holdings are the same, but we no longer see number 3. It means that on the 2nd day, I had sold this bond away. Then now we come to the 3rd day. On this 3rd day, so this first two still remain the same, but we had a new one holding over here. So what it means is that on this day, I bought this new holding. So those are similar idea to what we had on the PRTU function as well. But let me just change this name to something else. Okay, so now I have this file and I will upload this file onto the PPU functions. So let's just run PPU again. And I can go to my desktop to load this file. So I choose this file over here and I click upload. And you see one row that appeared down here. It says the file name status is converting right now. The target is portfolio. So after a few moments, you're gonna see this converting become ready to map. And then we can map this file to a new portfolio. So now it appears ready to map. So I can click into this. So I come to the next page. At the bottom, I see what is quite similar to what I see on the Excel. So now I need to tell the PPU function which data upload start at which line. So I change this to number 2. So line 2nd. So now we can just choose, go to the next page. Now I can specify what each of this column is. And over here, we can see the upload types portfolio. There are many other kind of upload as well. Security identifier is ISIN, CIDOR, or cache. Filter action is replace. So replace the entire portfolio. Not because sometimes people had a portfolio originally in the port function already, and then they want to update it. Then we go to update over here. Then we can choose the date format over here. So the date format that I had is day, month, year. Over here, it convert to the system that we use on the terminal, which is month first to the date. So on the first column, this is our portfolio name. So I choose from this drop-down menu and choose portfolio name. Then the second column is security ID. The next column is the date. Next one is quantity. Position quantity. So we map all of this holding, then we choose next. Then this page, if you see it's empty like this, you can just ignore and choose next as well. So now, so this are a few that you see just now in BRTE. So what is the currency that you want for this portfolio? What is the asset class? So you choose parents. If you want to set this specifically to fixed income or equity or fund of fund, you can choose over here. Then I can just choose finish. So now it's back to the original PPO screen. And I can see that it is processing right now. And now it's completed. And what it means is that now I can go to PRTU function. And the portfolio was named Bloomberg Income Fixed Portfolio. So I click into this. And I can see that latest holding as of today, I have this 3 holding over here, which is what we see over here. And similarly, you want to load this into the bot function, you choose analyze, or you choose or just run bot and load this specific portfolio. So let's go to the bot function. There are many different tabs over here, so I will just go through a few. So one of the tabs that people use the most is this characteristic tab. This is a tab for us to just have a quick idea of what our portfolio are like. So over here, we are screening by asset type and then sector. So asset type is fixed income. Then we have corporate debt and government debt. Then we have used to maturity due towards OID or BBCom. When you are not sure what a term or the fields mean on the terminal, you can always just hover the mouse over it. There's often a pop-out white window like this that explains to you what this means. So this Bloomberg composes rating that compose other rating that is available on the terminal into one rating. So those are the rating. Then I can also set a benchmark over here. So let's say I choose this benchmark. Then each of the column, you're gonna see that it becomes 3. So due to maturity, now we have 1 column for bot, which refer to our own portfolio. 1 column for benchmark. Then we have plus minus column, which is the difference between the two. Okay, this will take a bit of time to load because this index over here has many different tickers. So let's just pause it over here. So now let's say I want to customize this page a bit. So maybe I don't need this dividend yield, PE ratio, price to cash flow, or rate to return on common equity. So this was a part that I mentioned just now about our own personal view. So the first step is that I go to view, I go to personal view. This is running upon one personal view. So it means that I can customize this page. If you go to personal view and you don't see any personal view over here, we can go back to the PRTU function. So PRTU over here. And I choose bot view. And I just click create. So I can just put in a new name over here. And I choose to copy from a specific view. So maybe Bloomberg balance view or Bloomberg FI view. Then just create. So after you create over here, when you go back to bot, you will be able to see that view on this side. So personal view, and you can choose one from here. After you ensure that this is running upon one personal view, you can go to edit current view and go to this tab, which is characteristic. And we can see different view that we had over here. So now maybe I don't need dividend yield anymore, then I can just cross it out. Then maybe I want to move this composite rating to be more prominent, then I move it ahead over here. So now it has been changed. Whether I want this to appear for benchmark and the plus minus column, I can tick this box. And so after I made the changes, I click save and back to return. So here we can see that the Bloomberg composite rating column had moved over here. So this is for characteristic tab. Okay, let's go to performance tab, which help us analyze how well our portfolio has been doing. So this portfolio doesn't seem to do very well recently, year to date. So now maybe I want to see a longer return. Maybe year to date, the market have not been performing very well. Maybe I want to see 3-year or 1-year return. Then the step is similar. I click into view, personal view, ensure that it's on one personal view. Then I choose edit current view. This step is performance tab. So I want to see total return. And there are many different total return over here. I can choose total return 3-year. Total return for the last 1 year, for example. Okay, so I had this two more view and I click save. Over here, I can also choose whether I want the displays unit to be in percentage or in basis point as well. Then I choose back to return. And I can see that on 3-year return for me for this portfolio is around 12%. The last 1-year return is minus 3.5%. So these are how we can add different view in to the tab that we see. So let's look at another tab, total return over here. This one is a more visualization of what the return had been. So I just change the time over here to maximum range. So here are our portfolio return maximum range. So maximum we had gained around 22% for the return for our this whole period has been 22%. There was period that it did better and then it plunged out in March 2020. Then right now it is like this. If you had another ticker down here, let's say I choose this one. When I set this to be the benchmark, this might take a bit of time to look the return for the benchmark. If you do not need to see it on a maximum range, you can also customize the range over here. You can choose custom and then put in the specific date that you want. Or we can also choose year to date, prior calendar month or prior calendar quarter. Okay, this might be taking a bit of time, so let's move on to another tab, which is statistical summary. So this tab summarizes different performance metric on our portfolio. Let me just bring the benchmark down out because the benchmark index had many different tickers, so it takes a bit of time. So over here we have a few metrics that we are looking at across return, risk, and risk-adjusted return, such as Sharpe ratio. There's also Johnson and File information ratio as well. We can also see standard deviation, downside risk skewness of bar. So sometimes on the terminal, we see like so many different terms and we are not sure what is a specific definition that is used. So for example, and no Sharpe ratio, but how is it really calculated over here? So what you can do is that you can run help plus functions name, and this work for any function on the terminal, not just for the port function. So I just run help, and then I put in port and press enter. So over here, this is a help page that we have for the port function. It's very detailed. It shows us the step that we can use through different tabs, from getting started, intraday tab, characteristic, which was a tab that we saw just now, performance tab as well. So this is the tab that we are using. So I want to see the definition of Sharpe ratio that is used in this function. I can go to definitions and can go to letter B over here. Oh, sorry, Sharpe ratio. So letter S, and then I can see Sharpe ratio, and this is the definition that we use when we talk about Sharpe ratio in this function. And there are many other information over here, such as what the calculation behind, is there any brochure and video, is there any white paper, is there any FAQ, or what's new import. So very, very comprehensive material for you to explore. Then we can also do the same for the PRTU function. So I can run help PRTU, press enter. Then it also show me how can I create a portfolio, how can I manage a portfolio. And there are also brochure calculation or the PPU function just now. Press on help PPU and press enter. Then we can see how we can upload portfolio, mapping uploaded portfolio. I can also choose sample file over here. There are many sample files that you can take a look if you're not sure how to create the own file. So you can see like sample equity file, sample fixed income file, and how we can upload this file onto the terminal. There are video over here that they show you how they can really upload portfolio. So I will end with a few more different functions that you can use to learn more about the terminal on your own. You can go to this function called BPS, short for Bloomberg Resource Center. So this is a kind of a library of all the study guide on the terminal. It had many different resources across the terminal, not just fixed income or portfolio. So you can see we have from getting started, and there are also video over here. There are PDF file as well. So you want to need if you need a quick refresher on how to use the terminal, you can always go over here and take a look at this file. So there's very detailed information over here. Then you can, maybe you want to see fixed income, you can choose over here, fixed income, many resources, portfolio and risk analytics. There are also video, risk model, liquidity, portfolio construction that you can see over here. Another function that you might find useful is called user, short for function for the workflow. So over here, this function gives you the suggested list of functions that you might find useful. So right now, I'm set as credit analyst on the buy side. If you want to be maybe portfolio manager, let's see. Like type portfolio. So when I type portfolio manager, so there are different type of portfolio manager over here. Maybe I want to be credit portfolio manager. Then here are different functions that I might find useful for my work. So I see one function over here, PTMM. Then I can just open another panel and run PTMM to arrive this function over here. We see another function, that. So and I run the that function. So here are different holder of American debt, for example. And if I'm not sure about how to use this function, similarly, I can just run plus functions name. So help debt over here to arrive at the help page for that function. And similarly, a lot of detailed information over here. You can just use this to understand how to use the function. So those, and you can also reach out to the help desk as well. So if you click into this help desk button, you can just send in the query of any function and they will reach out to you to explain to you how you can use the function. So those are what we want to cover on the terminal for fixed income as well as for portfolio management. It will take a bit of time for you to get familiar with all of those functions. So don't feel overwhelmed if you find that there's so many different steps. After a while, you can just get used to it. So that's all that we want to share. Do you have any questions from the end?
Okay, participants, this is the opportunity for you to ask of any question or clarification. Feel free to put it on the chat box, or you can just unmute and speak. Is there any questions? Okay, we understand it might be a little bit overwhelming for Bloomberg.
Camille, there
Especially
will be
if you have never witnessed.
there will be
Okay.
there will be
Yeah.
a cheat sheet to be provided by Marissa. She will email directly
Okay.
the cheat sheet to the
Cheat
participants.
sheet. Okay. Okay. We have a
But what's
código.
good,
That's what
yeah,
we call
if you will notice with Bloomberg, there's the drop down menu. So if you forget the command, you just type in what is the keyword of what you want to know, and there's a drop down that you can um, choose from.
Don't be intimidated with our foreign speaker. Speak up, guys, if you want to ask anything. Okay, now we have a question. For Bloomberg support, the per screen has a cost.
So, do you mean that like if you ask the question, is there a cost with it? Is it?
If you're, do you mean, Carlos, that if I think what Carlos means is if you're going to be asking for support,
Okay.
or
Okay.
if you're going to have an additional screen, is that what you're trying to say?
Okay, I will answer for both cases.
Yes.
So, so if you ask any question on the help desk, that is free, you can just ask any question that you want, and how many questions that you want. So totally free. For the screen just now, it's also the same idea. You can just click into like more different tab and more different screens. So there's no additional cost as well. Hope that answers the questions.
Okay. Any other questions?
You can have many screens. So just click on the plus sign, and you can have more screen. Do their version, they can separate the screen? I mean,
Yeah,
they can
yeah,
take
they
a
can.
their version. Okay. So you can have 4 separate screen on your screen.
Yeah, you
So
can
like
have
a
even more than
tile.
that.
Yeah, it's like a
Like
tile.
20 different tab, like 20 different window of the Bloomberg.
Okay, we have a follow-up question. On average, how much is the subscription for a terminal? I believe this is for as an individual.
Yeah, yeah.
I think this is for an individual subscription, not for a corporate.
So there are two kind of pricings for terminal. So the first one is, let's say the firm is only using one terminal, is around 2,300 USD per month. So 2,300 USD per month. If there are from 2 or more terminal in the firm, it is 2,020 USD per month.
Pretty much, if you're going to be using this for personal consumption, I think it's quite on the high end of the pricing range. But as a corporate or as a trader, if you're okay, so here there's a question again. How will all the contact or trade will happen with other teams?
Okay. So for contact team, other team, so Marissa showed just now how we can use our chat system to find someone else. So you can just go to our chat system, search for other team's captain's name, and then you can start the chat with that person. I don't think that the current terminal account is enabled for fixed income trading.
Yeah, they cannot send RFQ or
we will not be able to like send a
we
real.
will be using the chat function, the Bloomberg chat. You can
Okay.
have we can have a session on in setting up the persistent chat
Okay.
with each of the teams. We, we've told you before that we will be included in the chat group for our monitoring.
Yeah, and maybe just to add on, after you do the chat, right? So Chris, if they use the chat to trade, they want to confirm trades. After that, the team can use the function PTT to submit a trade into portfolio directly. So what you do is you will do as per usual, like how the traders, they communicate via IB chats, confirm the trade. Once it's done, you can then use the function PTT to submit a bond trade into your portfolio. So it flows directly into the portfolio.
Also, it's BTT, not SXT
P-
or
PTT, that's slightly different because the traders, they have access to VCon and all your under deal code, so you can use BXT and SXT. But for the team, because they currently don't have access and we can't create a deal code for them, we will suggest to use PTT. So PTT basically allows you to, let me send you the function here. Okay, so it allows everyone to, it's more like a portfolio trade ticket, where instead of uploading like how Na showed earlier on, you will be able to just quickly submit your trades or your bond trades into the portfolio, just similar to your BXC SXT. But this time around, it's just for your portfolio to flow into portfolio.
okay. So the other team will not see that the PTT.
No,
So it will just be a self
yes, but
self-made.
yes, but Chris, definitely, you and maybe the management team can have access to the portfolio as well, so they can share the portfolio with you, so you have transparency over the trades that are flowing to the portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the PTT, usually if there's a X60, there's a email that is get sent to the countries. With PTT, is that also possible?
I believe there's no trade ticket that will be sent. What
No.
you'll see is the trade flow into your pot directly.
Okay. Okay.
There's another
Okay,
question.
we have another question.
Yeah.
We have another question here. For technical
technical.
analysis, which screen, okay, you can see the question. Which
Yeah.
screen do you use mostly for both EQ and FI?
Yeah. So I will just share over my screen. So sorry. Let me just share over my screen. So similarly, if you want to find the function for technical analysis, you can just type technical over here. Then you will be able to see from this drop-down menu the function that is related to technical analysis. So we see one over here for technical study browser. Then we see GP, which is a line chart function, which is our main graphing tool. So I can choose this one, which is for technical analysis. So this shows you all the different function on technical analysis. Another function that we see just now is GP. So GP is our main graphing tool over here. And if you want to load a technical study, for example, relative strength index, I can just start over here and choose from this drop-down menu. Another function, so I will just quickly go through this function in like short form. So BTST is the function that show you what is the best technical analysis to use for a specific security. So for example, over here we have Apple, then we have many different technical study, and I will rank by profit over the last 1 year. So for Apple, the best trading strategy for the last 1 year is simple moving average. So this is one function, PTSD. We see this customized set over here. Let's say we want to create our own customized backtest. That is another function called BT. This is to customize backtesting. If you want to set a trading alert based on technical analysis, is this function called DSIG for trading signal to set a specific trade signal, so that anytime maybe when a simple moving average hit a certain level, you will get an alert so that you can decide whether you want to buy or sell that specific security. Then one last function called STDY. This is to create our own custom study. So for example, on the terminal, we had study on simple moving average and we had study on rate of change. But if you want to combine these two study together, then you can go to this function to do that. So let me just put the list of all of these functions onto the chat. So the first one is that. Then we had GP, and then PTSD for test, PT for customize our own testing, TSIG for checking alert signal, and STDY to create our own custom study. So those are the functions that we use on the terminal for technical analysis. Stop sharing.
Okay. Any other questions from our other participants? Or any other clarifications? Well, we've got Miss Na. Any other questions, participants? Okay. There's a question. Are you hiring?
Well, I am not sure about Bloomberg office in Philippines, but the Bloomberg office in Singapore is hiring. Yeah.
Okay. So it's an option to, it's also a career option for finance students for Bloomberg. So you can apply. Maybe after the competition, we can get in touch more with a representative from the Philippines on other career opportunities. Okay. Any other questions? No questions for Equinox Capital. Okay. Any other questions? So last call for questions for our lecturers. Okay, so far that's all the questions that we got from our participants. So thank you, Marissa, and thank Miss Marissa and Miss Nga for gracing us with your presence tonight and for that very informative lecture. At least the participants now have a clear, somewhat of an idea of what to see and what to expect from Bloomberg. I'm sure they're all very excited to tinker with the system when they start trading through Bloomberg. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you. Salamat.
For you,
Salamat.